For a lot of people who haven't been blessed with children, their pups are definitely their children and one of the most important factors when they're buying a home.
Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day.
Hello. It's Jennifer J. Hammond. And I'm so excited. We're going to talk about dogs today. So Jeff Allen is the co-founder of Monkey's House, a dog hospice and sanctuary. He's also the author of an award-winning book, Where Dogs Go to Live. Yay! So Jeff, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me on and helping your audience understand when they're looking for a home and they are pet parents, what to look for.
It's so important. I love the fact that, we went ahead and we tried to make this as clear as possible. So 7 things to consider when buying a home to keep your pup happy. And, for a lot of people who haven't been blessed with children, their pups are definitely their children and one of the most important factors when they're buying a home. So let's talk about factor number 1.
Factor number 1, which is always in real estate, location. So, right, it's the same as it always been, but now with a focus on your dog. Right. So when I say that is before, I think it still stays about the same, but now you have to think of your dog. Is it close to a dog park? Right. Or are there parks around that you can take your dog? How close are you to the vet that you fell in love with? Right. And you want to really take care of your dog. Maybe groomers, things like a doggy daycare. If you're going to start going back to work, where can you go for that? So I think location always has been the number 1 in real estate. It still is, but now with a different little twist for your dog.
And I agree with you because in Washington, D.C., one of the things that I watched over, because it's been 24 years now that I have been in real estate in Washington, D.C., and I watched all of these dog parks kind of pop up, and that's Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, all over the place, but especially in D.C. was really important because some parks you can have dogs, and some parks have that dreaded sign that says, no dogs allowed. So it's really important. Even though there's a park down the street, doesn't mean that your pup's going to be welcome there. So you want to make sure that you actually are looking, as you just said, that was brilliant. Location. And you want to be close. It's one of the things I hear, especially from people who move from out of town. They'll ask me, what is your favorite vet? They always want to know where's the best vet in the area. And they really do want to live near the vet. That's the most important thing. So I love location. Okay. Factor number 2.
Factor number 2, walkability. We know that millennials, but for the past 10 plus years, they always wanted to live a place where they could walk to the restaurants, be close to everything. It wasn't the country living anymore. We're out in the country, luckily, because we have 25 dogs here. But
yes.
Yeah. Now, walkability now, though, again, with a focus on their pet, because their dogs are going to want to take walks. You're going to want to be in what kind of neighborhood is it in? Is it a dog-friendly neighborhood? Are there sidewalks? I don't have sidewalks. I'm out in the country. I usually go back in the fields, but even when I go on the road and it's a country road, not a lot of traffic, still it's a little bit dangerous, right? Because Some people slow down, some people don't. So think about all those things. Walkability, it doesn't just mean for you anymore, but it's for your pet. And where can you go and enjoy them walking?
And I think that's really important. We actually have that now in our MLS, our multiple listing service, as our walkability score. And I think that, again, that score is made up in a bunch of different ways. And I love that you have that as number 2 in the tips, because it's so important to understand what that walkability is for in relation specifically to your pup. Because as you just said, you might be able to walk on a country road, but it might not be a safe place for your pup to be roaming because somebody could come flying down there. And if you don't have a sidewalk, it could be tragic. So it's really important to understand what walkability is. And again, where is your pup going to have fun on walkability and not have to be, afraid or in a bad way because of it's not a safe road. So I love that. So number
Yeah.
three, what's number three?
So number three is actually the dwelling itself, right? Do you looking for a single family home, a multi-unit facility? Like, what are you looking for? And that may depend on the type of dog you have too. If you have a bigger dog, you might then say, yeah, I really do need a single family home versus a little Maltese or a little Chihuahua. Maybe they would be fine in a multi-unit type facility. So I think that's the thing you have to think too. Okay, obviously it has to be what you want, but also what's going to fit your dog. You're not going to want to take a big German Shepherd into a multi-unit up a few flights of stairs. So that's my third.
Well, and that's a really good one because I'll mention one, there are a lot of places like in DC, we have the multi-units that are they're lovely 3 or 4 units, but they're what we affectionately call a walk-up, meaning there's no elevator. You have to go up the stairs and that's fine for all of us when we're younger, including the pup. But as the pup gets older, that's not very good. And then also in Washington, D.C., one of the big things that we have is we have a weight limit. So again, smaller puppies are fine. But as the dog gets bigger and bigger, or as it's a different kind of dog, like a German Shepherd or such, they're not allowed in a lot of the buildings. So you have to be careful about which one. And it's funny because that's one thing when I first interview people and I first say, okay, so what are the things that are the must-haves? And, a lot of times they forget to tell me that they have a puppy. And I'm like, that's a really big deal. And it changes even the type of housing that we're looking for, never mind, as you pointed out, the number one, which is location, 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 but even the type of housing. And then we also have condos and co-ops. We have all sorts of different kinds of ownership, or if you're going to rent. I mean, all of these are really important considerations to take when you have a pup. Okay, so now we're on number 4, right?
The number 4, you stole a little bit of my bark there, right?
Sorry.
That's perfectly fine. So if you're getting a home, even single family or multi, what kind of steps are there, right? Again, we have dogs that generally are senior dogs. They have major medical issues, a lot of mobility issues. When I have a smaller dog, maybe it's even a beagle. Yeah, I can carry them up and down stairs. But what's going to happen is everybody out there loves their dogs, especially the younger folks, well, even the older folks. The dogs usually sleep up in their bedroom. Right. Mm-hmm. So most of the bedrooms are on the second floor. That's something to think about if you have a bigger dog, because I have, when I was younger, carried a German Shepherd up the steps when they got older. So that's something you need to think about is how many floors do I want? Smaller dogs are fine. Bigger dogs, you might want to think about that. And also, what type of yard do you have, right? Does your house that you're looking at, does it have a yard? Does it have an area that your dog can then go play in and you can be out back enjoying with your dog and with your family?
I think that those are both really important. And steps, I think, again, people a lot of times don't think about it until they are getting older and they're having trouble with it. And yet it is something that you need to consider. And, again, are you going to live in this property 5 years or 7 years? Again, what is a dog's life versus your life on how long? Because it might be okay for today, but it might be 2 years from now that it's not going to be okay. And so I think steps and yard, those are really, really important ones that people need to consider when they're doing that. So now we're down to 5. What's number 5 in tips to find a house when considering your puppy's needs?
So you touched on this already, the town ordinance, right? Now it could be, like you said, it could be the condo ordinance, but ordinance are very important. First off, there are breed-specific ordinance against things like a pit bull. It used to be Rottweilers or German Shepherds. Now it seems to be the pit bull is the big one now. And I'm telling you, we had 3 or 4 pit bulls here, friendliest dogs in the world. Like they will lick you to death. So it really is how you raise the dog. But still, the towns look at this and they're like, we don't want pit bulls here. So I think there's a few things to that. One is, what is the town ordinance? And then, like I said, you find a nice home, has a beautiful backyard. It's not fenced in. Can I fence it in? right? Is the town going to let you fence it in? So I think those are the things you need to find out ahead of time, and find out, yeah, can I bring my dog here? Am I able to put a fence up? Those type of things. And also, if you're a multi-dog household, how many dogs can I have? In our township, we were limited to 5 dogs. Now I had to go get a special ordinance because of our nonprofit to have 25 dogs here, because that's what we generally have, is around 25 dogs.
Well, and I think that's so important, again, that people don't think about is, do I need a license? What are the ordinances around the dog? And as you said, pit bulls, I have found the pit bulls that I have had the privilege of knowing are the most loving, sweet ones. And yet Washington, D.C. has some of the most harsh pit bull laws. I can't remember if it's still in effect, but it used to be that if they picked it up, if they didn't find the owner within 24 hours, they were euthanized. So there were some pretty, I would say, raw laws in the fact that you better know exactly what you can do, what you can't do. And especially as that relates to breed. And even like if you need a license, if it's required that you have a nameplate on it, all of that is so important with understanding the ordinances in when you go to buy a property. And like with Washington, D.C., we have 3 completely different jurisdictions. I want to say 3 different states, but Washington, D.C. is not a state. We are a jurisdiction. We are a District of Columbia. But in these 3 different areas, and then in the different areas, like in the state of Virginia, oh my gosh, there are a lot of different counties, the different city ordinances. So I think that was brilliant because, again, there's layers of it. And then, as I had mentioned earlier, if you go into a building, whether it's a condo, a co-op, or a rental building, then there are those regulations. So you have to go through all the different layers of the ordinances. This is not to discourage anyone. I don't want you to get discouraged by this. I just want you to be aware. So, okay, now we're on to, what are we on? Number 6.
Number 6 is, and most people don't think of this. We've thought of it because we've had over 150 dogs here in the past 6 years since we opened our nonprofit living with us. Interior. What's the interior? Flooring, right? So if you have a puppy, or if you have a dog that's senior or getting up to be a senior, there's going to be accidents. So maybe on your downstairs, do you want carpet? Maybe you don't want carpet. Hardwood floors, linoleum tile, those type of things. Easy to clean, easy to take care of. Maybe upstairs is where you have the carpet. We had the downstairs no carpet. Upstairs we eventually took carpet out of the whole house because, again, we have so many dogs. But I think in general, I would recommend to stay away from the carpet downstairs and have your carpet upstairs. But that's one thing I'd like to say for the interior. Another thing for the interior is, again, with the size of the dog, a walk-in shower for a big dog is the best thing you can do. I mean, trying to pick a dog up and get him into a bathtub is hard. So if it's a walk-in shower, that's an excellent way for you to be able to clean your dog when you don't take him to the groomer.
I love that. And those are 2 really big ones because, again, hardwood floors are really important if you need to clean up a little bit of an accident. And they do happen. And it's funny because they happen on both sides when they're a little bitty puppy. And then, of course, when they're getting older, they have those accidents. But also, like you said, the cleaning area, where are they going to get their bath? Are they going to get it? Maybe not in a bathtub. And I've seen some houses now that just have a really beautiful kind of shower area outside. And again, just depending on where you're living, if that's appropriate for you all year round, because it might not be if you're living in a cold area. But so knowing kind of those things, I think is really, really important. So well said. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. And now we're on to number 7. So these were the 7 tips.
So the last one would be, I like to bucket them into the environmental factors, right? Environmental factors are, what are your dogs like? They're susceptible to noise. Like they don't like a lot of noise generally. Big banging, during fireworks or the 4th of July. I mean, that's okay. It's like one day a year. It's not great for us as pet owners, but we can deal with that. Probably take them somewhere. If you're close to a park that has the fireworks, you take them away for the day if it bothers them. But are you close to maybe a military base that is doing a lot of loud noises, or a construction or a facility that's always constantly construction goes on and it's finished. But sometimes I know somewhat down the road, a couple miles down, there's a recycle. Where they recycle cars. They break them up. It's a lot of noise to be if you backed up to that.
Even an airports can be really scary for dogs.
Correct. And then also, dogs get 65 of the information comes in through their nose, right? The smell. So maybe that's the same thing. You got to be careful. When I went to college up in Maine, the pulp and paper industry, you would get some really bad smells for long periods of time. So that's something maybe you have to think about as well. And then the last one would be pesticides, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in neighborhoods, a lot of people do use, the ChemLawn type companies to spray their yards. We stay away from that. If you're close to a big farm, if there's a big farm community, be careful of that because they're going to be spraying. Most of them will be spraying. That stuff comes over into your yard. And you think about it, even in your house for the cleaners that you use, but your dog is on the floor, on the ground, with their nose in it all the time. So always be cautious of those type of things. Any kind of environmental factor, like I said, noise, smell, any kind of chemicals, just be careful of those.
It's fun. It's interesting you said that because one of the things I learned quickly about Washington, D.C., I had grown up in Florida. And so it was such a different weather shock, shall we say, when I got through winters. And I found the other thing is when you talk about environmental factors, it made me think about the paws when they go out onto the snow, because so many people pour that snow melt and that those chemicals, they can completely make it raw on those little paws as they try to walk around. So understanding, as you just said, the chemicals that are around you, even the ones that seem like they're only there temporarily, just like you talked about the chemicals for a lawn, they might seem like they're only there temporarily, but being really aware of that it could change your decision on where you decide to buy a house.
Absolutely. There's dogs 50 years ago, dogs, you get maybe 20 to 30% of the dogs would have cancer, maybe 20, 25%. Today, there's like almost 60% of dogs will get cancer in some sort. So what is that? That's all the environmental factors, right? Yeah. It's those chemicals. It's sadly, it's some of the food that we feed them. It's things like that. But so if you really love your dog, which all of us do, we try to avoid those type of things.
Absolutely. Well, these are great, these 7 factors. Thank you so much. I would love for people to know a little bit more about your book and what you guys, your nonprofit, what you do. Would you share? Sure.
Well, my book, Where Dogs Go to Live, Inspiring Stories of Hospice Dogs Living in the Moment, because it really do. We're a dog hospice, and some people say, well, that's where dogs go to live. Yes, it is. We bring dogs here from shelters that are going to be destroyed. They live out their lives here in our home with us on our little 6 acres. And we feed really fresh, holistic food based on the condition that they're in. If they have cancer, if they have heart disease, we give them great moments. We have actually a senior citizen bus that was converted now. It's our dog bus. We go to the Jersey Shore. We'll go see Santa Claus. So it is where dogs go to live because we really want that final chapter of theirs to be the best it can be. And I'm sure all of, 60 million families out there have a dog in their family. So I'm sure that the vast majority of your audience here, folks I'm talking to, have pets, have a dog, and really want them to be the best they can be.
Absolutely. Well, and with that, go ahead and tell them, do you have a website or social media you can share?
Yes, we go to our website. It's monkeyshouse.org. So it's monkeyshouse.org. And they can find out more about us, find out about my book. I actually have a second book out. It's a coffee table book. Life's a Dog Bone, chew it all day long. So it's got some funny quotes in there. Actually, go out to YouTube and look that up. You'll see a animated music video.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great.